As the deadline looms on U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan for Gaza, Hamas has said that it needs more time. The plan has global backing, including a cautious nod from Russia and support from key Arab states, as all sides voiced an eagerness for peace-ravaged Gaza.
On the ground in Gaza, the picture gets more gruesome by the hour. Gaza Civil Defense Agency puts the death toll at 52 in the last day. The WHO says 42,000 people have acquired life-changing injuries in the last 2 years. Israel calls it a hunt for terrorists. The world points at the figure of over 66,000 civilians killed. And peace groups are tottering. The Hamas official says the group is still consulting on President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan. Despite Trump's 3 to 4 day ultimatum, Hamas says it needs more time. For Washington, the clock is ticking.
The president made it very clear he wants to hear back from them very soon. We expect and we hope that Hamas will accept the plan.
When announced with PM Netanyahu, President Trump had given a 72-hour deadline. He said 3 to 4 days a day later. The sticking points are apparent. First, the demand that Hamas disarm. For Hamas, surrendering all weapons without progress towards a Palestinian state is seen as nearly impossible. Another concern for Hamas is the vague promise of Israeli withdrawal. Russia, meanwhile, signals conditional support. President Vladimir Putin praised the plan but placed his marker firmly on a two-state solution.
Russia is generally prepared to support it. UN Security Council resolution was adopted, advocated the creation of two states, Israel and a Palestinian state. And this, in my view, is the key to a final solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Arab governments have also put weight behind the plan. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, Qatar, the UAE and others expressed support for what they called Trump's genuine efforts. Across the region, mediators like Qatar and Egypt are urging Hamas to seize the chance. But the support is not without strain. Some Arab states privately complain about late changes tilting in Israel's favor, fueling anger at home. For now, the deal hangs in the balance, Hamas weighing its future, Trump holding out a deadline, and regional powers caught between hope and hesitation. If Hamas rejects the plan outright, the US initiative could collapse before it begins. But if it agrees, even with conditions, this could be the first real step towards ending the war in Gaza in nearly a year. As Putin said, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Bureau Report, WION World.
Joining us live on the broadcast is Hafid Boutaleb, who is a geopolitics and international relations analyst, AOB Group. Thank you so much for joining us on WION. Hamas says that it needs more time to respond. Given this international momentum, what are the risks for Hamas as this drags on?
Well, thank you, Susan, for this question. So far, of course, the Hamas uses the word or the expression, some corrections to avoid talking about a dismissal. What is now on the ground is that there might be between the leadership in Doha that is more pragmatic and the military leadership in Gaza, there might be some divides about the disarmament. If there is a clear consensus on the fact that they have to make an end to this war, and Israel has accepted this 20-point plan, Hamas will press for more insurances, more guarantees for security, but also the timelines, because there are a lot of, it's quite vague in this 20 points about the timeline, and also for concerning the non-displacement. Whether yes or not, this population that has been displaced again and again and again by the Israeli army for this army to conduct its operation on the ground, whether this population will stay on Gaza or not. And also, there is an interrogation on the oversight. Who's going to oversight these solutions? Who is on the ground going to conduct the reform of the Palestinian Authority that appears on this 20-point plan? Just this reform needs another huge plan to be conducted. So all these elements has to be clarified in order for, that is, for Hamas, the stance today, in order for Hamas to accept. However, you know that Israel is led by a far-right coalition, and this far-right coalition also has made some concessions toward this plan. If Hamas comes with further requests, this coalition might come back or might abandon and drop these concessions and come back to their original stance, that is, carrying out the war in Gaza and wiping out Hamas despite the civilian casualties. So this is the risk. And in this case, there is no doubt that Trump will align on Netanyahu, because Netanyahu didn't request more time to accept this plan. However, we have to acknowledge that this plan has been written jointly by the White House and the Israeli government, not involving Hamas. So it might also be seen as legitimate for Hamas to ask for further time. But on my view, if it's possible to express it, I think that Hamas should acknowledge their defeat on the ground and should accept this plan only for the sake of these 2 million Palestinians today suffering from this war.
Yeah, and you see that the plan has the backing of key Arab states. You have a cautious nod from Russia. From your point of view, is this really a rare moment of consensus on Gaza? Because as you mentioned, the alternative, and President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu said it very bluntly, the alternative could be disastrous.
Yes, Donald Trump said they're going to pay in hell if they dismiss the plan. So yes, of course, the things are very serious now, and there is a momentum around this plan. And I think, of course, although this plan doesn't precise and brings necessary details, there is the will to protect the civilian population in Gaza, and of course, the aggression of the military Israeli army, but also from the radicalized elements of most elements of Hamas are really radicalized from these radicalized elements, and also this plan acknowledges the humanitarian disaster in Gaza, dismissing all the claims of a Gaza wood or Pallywood, referring to Hollywood, and some media has claimed that what's going on the ground is much lesser, less important, less dramatic than what media pretend. Now, today, thanks to the White House, there is a clear consensus on the disastrous humanitarian situation in Gaza and the need to stop this war. Although the Arab countries has, of course, expressed support for this plan, they demand also some clarifications, especially concerning the Palestinian statehood, because eventually this plan doesn't mention anything concerning the statehood, although there is some suggestions that they might be at the end of the process of reform a Palestinian statehood. So today, this momentum has to be acknowledged. Russia is cautious because Russia wants to be critical on this situation to keep it some influence on the ground, because it lost it a lot focusing on Ukraine. So I think this is positive, and Hamas has to say yes.
We'll have to wait and see. I'm so sorry to cut you off, Hafid. Boutaleb, thank you so much for that analysis. Of course, we'll be watching very closely. The next 24 hours to 48 hours is going to be critical. I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thank you, Susan.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.